mostly at small, under 500, and micro, which is, 5, 10, 15, 20 employees. Take that quick action fund, take 80%, because 80% of the jobs provided right now are by small business. So take 80% of that quick action fund, concentrate on small business, helping guys, men and women in the state that have a great idea, and help a small business get up and running. Don't give them money like you do the big businesses. Loan them that money, and they'll pay it back at no interest, or maybe at a very limited interest. And so concentrate more on small business and then micro businesses. And you could start hundreds, if not thousands, of micro and small businesses with $50 million. Take the other 20%, or $40 million. Take the other $10 million or so that you would have left over of the $50 million, and use it, the $10 million, to incentivize marginally your large businesses. But here's what needs to happen. Large businesses, the Caterpillars and all those that have come to the state, the big businesses that come to the state, they come because there is an educated workforce. They come because there is a tax and a regulation environment that is compatible to them being competitive. So what we got to do, we got to make this a small and micro business and a large business paradise. And we're going to do that by dropping our corporate tax structure. We have the worst corporate tax structure you can imagine. You would have to go, if you looked on a map, Darren, to get a worse corporate tax structure or tax environment than we have, and we're talking about bringing business to the state. So if I'm a CEO, I'm looking at, okay, what's the tax environment of that state? Well, if I looked from an airplane at Arkansas, I would have to go north to Iowa. I could go as far south as I wanted to and not find a worse tax environment. I could go all the way to North Carolina and go into the Atlantic Ocean and not find a worse tax environment. I'd have to go all the way to California to the west to find a worse tax environment than we have here. So all that being said, we're surrounded by states in our region that have far better tax environment than we do. And so we got to get a better tax and regulation environment to pull in the big business. Then use this quick action fund, $50 million, to actually incentivize and give loans to small and micro businesses. That's how overnight you could bring a lot of jobs to this state.
Now, concerning with this new thing that they're doing with quarters, that Hot Springs is one of the quarters that they put on there. How important are state parks to you, and what will you do to help improve them, especially those that such cities as Mountain View, England, and Scott depend on?
I think that, if you look at our tourism dollars, this state is a gem, both geographically because where it's located. It is actually the most centralized located state in the nation. It should be the transportation linchpin of the nation, not Atlanta, not Chicago, Little Rock, Central Arkansas, but more importantly, the whole state of Arkansas should be the linchpin transportationally. Northwest Arkansas, East Arkansas, South, East and West, the whole state should be the linchpin of transportation. And then the other linchpin are tourism. You go to Mountain Home, Mountain View, you go to, those places, that out there, and look at the beauty, the natural beauty, the lakes and rivers that we have in this state. I would work more with tourism and say, hey, what can we do? What do you need from us? And then let's look at some states that have just knocked it out of the park tourism-wise. And if what we're not doing that they're doing, let's use that. But yeah, I think we invest heavily in our parks and in our tourism because it could be such even a greater boon. And I think they're doing a great job, but it could be even greater.
Now, is there anything you would like to include that I have not brought up?
I think that as a state, we're better than 48th and 49th in every category. We can do better, And we have had the same leaders. I mean, if you look right now, who's moving from this position to that position. And we've got the same leaders in the same spots, and we're still 48th and 49th in every major category, and we're better than that. We can turn the state around. We can do better. We can cut taxes. We can cut spending. We have one employee for every 44 citizens. The state of California, which is by all means, all standards, pretty much bankrupt, has only one employee for every 100 citizens. There's 4,500 people that leave Arkansas state government a year. So not firing one person in 4 years, you could reduce the workforce in this state by almost 25%. We have 61,000 effective full-time employees. We could cut it by 18,000 in 4 years. Fairly easy. So you could cut actually 30% in 4 years and not fire one person just by attrition. So we get it smaller, and then once we get it small, bring in CEOs, bring in citizens. Let them look at this thing and say, hey, how can we combine and you know, instead of having 50,000 people answering the phone, have a call center, and work smart and get our government smaller. Not so we can say, well, we have a smaller government, but because they would take less taxes and people can keep more of their money. And then make what we have left, that smaller government, make it much, much smarter.
All right. Now, here is the last question. Now, there are several people in Arkansas that are outraged with the passing of the health care bill. Now, most Arkansans know that 65% of Arkansans were against this bill. And from searches such as Wikipedia and Blanche Lincoln's voting records, both Blanche Lincoln and Mark Pryor voted for it. What do you think that was, or why do you think they did that?
I just think it is a mindset, and unfortunately, I don't think it just is in the Democratic Party. I think there are Republicans that have lost their way, lost their the mindset that the Constitution is the guiding light, not what I want or what anyone else wants. And I think it is a power grab. I think it's an arrogance by politicians that, hey, we know what you need more than what you know you need, and then ignoring the people's desires and will. And I think how we combat that as a state, we come in here because I believe in the sovereignty of the state. I believe that the federal government was built by the states for the states, not the federal government. The states were built for the federal government, but it was the opposite. And so we need constitutional officers like Jim Key, like Mark Martin, and like some of these Supreme Court justices, like Courtney Henry, like Karen Baker. We need good conservative Supreme Court justices. We need solid and courageous men like Jim Key and Mark Martin as Secretary of State, Jim Key as governor, and me as Lieutenant Governor, all constitutional officers that will lock arms and say, hey, we will not allow the sovereignty of our state to be attacked by the federal government. We got a Attorney General, we got a governor right now that's beholden to King Obama, to the Obama administration, and they're blinking and they're cowering down. We need constitutional officers that will reflect the state. We have a red state with blue leaders. We need red leaders. We need conservative leaders leading this state, and not just disagreeing with the president because he's from the other side, but disagreeing with him because it is not following our Constitution. And so I think the way we combat the health care is we need to have more competitiveness in this state. We need to be able to buy insurance across property lines, across state lines. We need to have tort reform. So there's a lot of things we can do and not wait on this law, because we're going to repeal that law. I believe that. So let's don't wait. Let's go ahead and get active now, and let's get a top-notch healthcare system. Let's get our healthcare system as competitive as the car insurance industry, where you could have somebody from New York selling health insurance in Arkansas, and that's going to drive down the price.
Now, forgive me for saying that was the last question, because I realize there's one more.
Okay.
What is your opinion on the Attorney General right now in the state of Arkansas, and do you think that Arkansas should have more of a say?
Yeah, and again, it goes back to, you got an Attorney General that if that was more, he's been more